Hello, everyone. Welcome to William and the Magic Box. Today on our show, we are going to have Ethan. Ethan is from New York City in the USA. So let's see what Ethan has to say. Enjoy the interview. So, hello, Ethan. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, William?
Very well. Thanks so much for taking the time today for the interview. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for reaching out to me. I appreciate that.
So tell me, how's your day going so far? My God, today is
Going.
a
It's
very important day in the
hmm
US. My God.
Yes, everybody should be voting. I just got back about an hour ago. It's packed. A lot of younger people actually. I live in Pittsburgh, and there are a lot of colleges around in the area, and a lot of the voters in my area were my age. It was kind of cool to see.
Amazing. And
Yep.
Pittsburgh is the place where you're born and raised?
I was born and raised in Manhattan, in New York City.
Wow.
Yeah.
And why did you
Yeah.
change from New York City to Pittsburgh?
So I initially moved from New York up to Rhode Island and then Maine. I was in a relationship at the time, and then it just brought me up to Maine naturally. And then when I broke up out of that relationship, I moved to DC. And then I just decided once I was relationship based, I guess, if you will. So once I was out of this past relationship, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go out on my own and my dog as well and do something. And so we came over to Pittsburgh.
Wow. So
hmm
Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania, I believe, yes?
Correct. Yep.
Amazing. And how
Yeah.
long have you been living there for so far?
Since May, so about 6 months. Yeah, very free, very recent.
I see. And before you moved there, have you been in the city before or no? It was just like that. Okay, let me try something new.
Honestly, it was a pretty much a day of decision. I literally like got in the car. I was in Buffalo, New York. I found the unit that I was going to rent, and I applied, and then drove down from Buffalo to get the keys, and I moved that day pretty much. So I'd never been. I don't remember at least when I may have been when I was younger, but I didn't remember anything about the city. So it was very spontaneous, last minute, but definitely
Wow.
worth it.
But enough, tomorrow on the show is going to go live. A lovely
Okay.
man from Pittsburgh, actually.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
tomorrow is the interview goes live tomorrow.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And tell me what you do for work for a living, Ethan.
So I'm the chief executive officer as well as founder of Title Jets Incorporated. We are a aviation consulting agency, so we help people find solutions in the private sector or commercial airlines even find and locate aircraft for their operations.
Wow,
Yeah,
exciting.
yeah. I've loved aviation my entire life, and then I'm a volunteer firefighter as well as medic. So
Oh, amazing. Oh, wow.
yeah.
And when you start to be a volunteer for as a firefighter?
So I started in fire and EMS around 2020, I want to say. So during the COVID, like 2019, 2020, during COVID, I started as a career firefighter. And then once I launched my business, I decided, or a little bit before that, I decided to drop down to volunteer because it's still important. And I still had, my license and everything like that. And I wanted to keep it current. So that's when I decided to go volunteer.
And you can volunteer anywhere where you're living?
So it depends. Like I'm nationally recognized or certified, if you will, but in certain states there's what's called reciprocity, which means that you need to get their certain license or you hold their license to be able to operate or be a care provider when it comes to various like medications and dosages. Medical directors do different things. So I'm nationally recognized, but that doesn't mean like this state. So to answer your question, it's Maryland and like the DMV area. So DC, Virginia, Maryland, I have my qualifications for. So I just drive over there. But it's a pretty quick drive.
Okay, then during the interview, I'm going to explore a little bit more about your life and also about your
Awesome.
point of views, okay?
Yep, for sure.
Before we start our journey within the magic box, I would like you to tell me something interesting about yourself or maybe something that not many people know about you.
About me, something interesting. I'm a pretty open book. I think primarily, I guess a lot of people are starting to understand like my dynamic growing up as a kid. I grew up with two dads that are in the LGBTQ plus community. I am too, so it was like one big gay family. It was just like happened to be. But as a kid, I'm a very strong personality, and I think a lot of people have taken to that. However, I'm a very quiet individual, like in terms of just like my day-to-day life. A lot of people I think I'm a really close friend of theirs, which I appreciate. But there's a lot more to my life than just what I live on TikTok. And I think that like, this would be a good opportunity for me to be able to kind of go into that.
Amazing. Oh my God, yes. Also, of course, I was checking your videos on TikTok.
Mhm.
You talk
Thank
very
you.
much about having two dads, two gay dads. So my
Yes.
sure you have a lot of questions besides that. But the first thing that came to my mind regarding that is, when was the moment that you realized that you had two dads, like, and not like not,
Mm.
you know what I mean, like not a family that they have a mom and a dad? Tell me the moments when
So
you.
this is a great question because not a lot of people think to ask this one, and this is one that I generally ask. Like, I would prefer people do ask because it is a very interesting one. I think especially growing up with like a nanny that was a female, it was kind of confusing because my innate senses were like, oh, this is my mother, or this is like, whomever in my life. However, there was one time where she was like, I was 6 years old, maybe, or maybe a little younger. She sat me down and she was like, I'm not your mom. Like, and she basically, like, it was nothing, it was just a very normal conversation, but she basically was just like, I'm not your mom. Like, I go home at the end of the night. Like, I love you to death, but like, these are your parents, So that's kind of, I think, when like it sat in with me that it was like, okay, well, two men are my parents, but I didn't necessarily know the outside perspective of it. So for me, it was just a very still normal thing, I guess. It wasn't just, there was no difference. But it was just more so, okay, well, she's not my mom.
I love that, and I
Yeah,
understand the point. When you grow up, having two dads, you think that's it, it's just two dads. That's it.
it's normal, right?
Oh,
Right.
amazing. Ethan, are you ready to go on a beautiful journey through memories of life and share your point of views?
I am.
Amazing. Welcome to William in the Magic Box. So I have here my best. Full of random fun questions, okay? I'm just gonna play a song just first to relax before the first
Okay.
question. Okay?
Great. Okay.
Let's do it. Okay, so before we start the game, do the join. If it comes up a question that you don't want to answer, don't want to talk about, always can change, okay?
Okay.
First question for you is, what keeps you up at night?
My job, like literally my job. It's 24/7. We have a huge global audience, and I'm always up just all hours of the day. It's either that or somebody overseas, like on my team, and yeah. So or my dog, one of
And
those two.
what do you like the most about your job? Tell me a little bit about it. What's the
Okay,
biggest?
yeah. So I'm the chief executive officer for Tidal Jets Incorporated, and we help individuals, like clients or corporations find aircraft that are either private or chartered. And I think my favorite thing is the logistical aspect. I could be in Pittsburgh where I live, but speaking to somebody in Dubai and getting a plane from France. You know what I mean? So it's like it's all of those logistics working together as one and being able to kind of fit them all together so that way the client's happy, the operator's happy, or whatever it may be, and then I'm happy, So it's really cool. It's a very global, expansive network, and we feel like the world feels very small after that. There's no like bounds. Like I've gone to Dubai for like 2 days. Like I've kind of just traveled in this like bubble of the world that's huge to some, but so little when you actually travel. Like that. So I think that that's probably my favorite thing is just being able to sit here and talk to all corners of the globe.
Wow. And so I believe that all those planes, they are private planes or not?
Yeah, so most of them are private aircraft. However, there are commercial airlines that will reach out to us for cargo aircraft or for passenger aircraft. So they'll, if say some aircraft overseas, like they break down, they'll reach out to us and see if we can find somebody to get like an ACMI, it's called, which is a leased aircraft to be able to fill its spots so they can not have a disruption in their schedule.
Next question, let's do it.
Yeah.
Hey, Ethan, next question for you is, what is the strangest gift have you ever received?
The strangest gift I've ever received. I think it was when I was probably maybe like 17 from one, or like it was when I graduated high school. And this is something normal, I guess, but like you would think I was underage, and like my dad's best friend gave me a bottle of wine. Like it was not something that you would like think, and it wasn't like in front of my dad either. It was just something like just around, like, behind his back. But it was a graduation gift, and it was like a $15 bottle of wine or whatever, and he was like, here you go, here's your gift. And I was like, well, my dad, and he's very strict about, one of them is very strict about that type of thing when came to being underage. So I was like, it's very bizarre for you to be giving me that. Otherwise I just say like the typical like gag gifts. I'm not really big on gifts. I don't really receive them. I like to give them, but I'm not really, I like the typical like clothes or whatever. I'm anything, but yeah, I'd say definitely that was fun to rub in my dad's face a little after the fact.
Did you like school? Yeah.
Did I like school?
Yeah.
I liked the topics that I liked, and I've very much so been that way my entire life. If I enjoy something, I'll put my all, like 150%. If I don't want to do it, I just won't do it. You know what I mean? So I was speaking to my math teacher, my algebra teacher, actually a couple months ago on Facebook, and she was like, "I remember you as this kid that like didn't think math or algebra needed to be in existence, so you just wouldn't do anything." And like that's to a T perfectly how you would describe it. Some subjects I absolutely loved and I did very well in. Others, it's not that I couldn't do well, I just didn't care to. So yeah, love hate with it.
Amazing. Next question. Let's do it. Before the next question, tell me how was growing up in Manhattan, in New York City. Tell me about your experience.
So I loved it as like a teenager. Now it's kind of tarnished for me now, just because there's so much that you get exposed to at such a young age. There's just like by the time I was 12, I was basically walking home alone in New York City, from school. I think the accessibility of it is great as a teenager. It's there's so many other things to do rather than have to get in a car and go drive and like, make it a whole day event. However, it's easy to feel lost, especially if you go to like a bigger school. I was fortunate. I went to a small private school. So I knew they were like brothers and sisters in my grade. There were very few of us. But if you go to like a bigger public school, which I knew a lot of kids that did, it was easy for them to kind of just like drift in and out and not really have like a purpose, if you will. So I think it had both sides. If you were in with like kind of the smaller crowd and knew your people, it felt very homey. But if you were like a part of like the bigger crowds and didn't really have like your group, you could be, just like kind of existing, if you will. So I've seen a lot of people go either way, where they've done really well and they kind of just gone on and with life. And then there's those people that have just kind of been floating a lot. I think that's kind of where I would place it. I mean, it's obviously very special to grow up in New York. However, I don't think I'd raise my kids there.
And
but yeah.
Are you planning maybe the future live there or not? For you, just going to be the memory?
I think if I were to live there, it would have to be in like Westchester or somewhere outside of the city. I like the convenience. Like I live in Pittsburgh, which is a very quiet city. It's nowhere near like New York, but I have all the convenience of going shopping and walking within, a certain distance and having everything I need. I think for New York, that's just magnified because it's so much bigger. So like you don't necessarily need to be directly in Manhattan or in one of the 5 boroughs to be able to enjoy it. Because I love to drive as well. So I don't mind hopping in the car and like doing something. So that's an option I would look at potentially if the pricing was there and it was something that made sense in terms of the rent and whatever. The ownership there is absurd.
And your dads are still there, living there?
Yeah, so I have one of my fathers who is the president of this company down in Miami. So he splits his time between Miami and New York. And then the other father is based there full time. Yeah.
I see. Okay. Next question for you is, who is your biggest hero?
My biggest hero, I would say, is this woman right here. She was my nanny growing up. Her name is Aloma. And she kind of, she taught me like the ins and outs of life. Like she didn't grow up as fortunate by far. She wasn't, as fortunate. My parents loved her to death and I loved her to death. And like she really taught me how to be kind of street smart and have my backbone, and kind of the person that I am today, like just face to face, is because of her. So she totally like raised me. Yeah, she was instrumental in my life.
I've got a bump now. If you could see my arm now, my goodness, what a
Yeah,
beautiful.
she's an amazing woman. She doesn't mess
Okay,
around though, trust me. She'll kick my ass really quickly.
okay. If she's watching this interview right now and you have a moment, an opportunity to send her a message, what would you say?
I would say to her, like, thank you again. I wrote her actually a message 2 years ago. I typed it up, I signed it and put it in the mail. And I just was basically, it was a very emotional one, because I had a realization moment of like, I'm the way I am because of her. And I see so much in my daily life every single day in my interactions because of her. So I just wrote her like this 2-page letter, and she was raising money for cancer survivors at the time, and I paid off the rest of what she wanted, and that's, that was my way of like thanking her, I think. And well, I could never thank her, but that was like my way of giving her somewhat of what she gave me.
And I believe as well, with having two dads and also having a
Mhm.
female figure, growing up, I
Mhm.
think that's why this connection as well with her for sure.
Right, definitely. And yeah, it was a different connection. I think I needed that, like especially a female. They put you in your place, and they definitely are very motherly in that sense. And I think that, like, obviously, again, innately that's more natural and it feels more natural. But also a busy parents, it was needed for me. So
God,
definitely.
absolutely. Next question. Let's do it. You like dancing?
I do. I do. I haven't done it in a very long time. I did it in elementary school. That was the last time I did, probably.
Next question is, do you consider yourself to be a spiritual person and how?
I would say I'm spiritual in that I believe that things happen for a reason. I wouldn't say that I believe in one specific being or one specific name per se. I do definitely believe that like your stars are not decided for you, but like they're kind of in line. And obviously people are born in situations where they just can't get out of, unfortunately, or they're given the short end of the stick. But I do believe with like enough power and faith in yourself and spirituality in yourself. Like if I
Mhm.
told myself I couldn't start a company, I would never start a company. You know what I mean? Like, but if you are able to like decide that you're going to be able to get over that mental block of like not being able to do something, or just something being too difficult, you can do anything you want. And I think that that's in itself, a testament to what I believe in, is that there's something more out there that's like kind of on top of me, or like, in my life, that's dictating or helping me to make my decisions that ultimately get me to where I want to go.
What's the meaning of life for you?
Life, that's a very challenging one. I would say that's stumped me. I would say probably the biggest thing, I don't know, I think life is it's not about what you have, it's about the experience. Money is meant to come and go, and I think I have this conversation a lot because of the industry I'm in. And I say to people, like, it's not about the money, it's about whether or not you're happy doing it, whether or not you're happy. Like, yes, money comes into play for your lifestyle, but adjust your lifestyle. If you're not going to be happy doing what you are doing, there's no point in it, because then you're just spending money to spend money, and that's it. But at the end of the day, I think when you're able to wake up in the morning and not think about money, or not think about these other external factors, and just be happy as is, and look at yourself in the mirror and say, I'm happy with who I am, then that's like living your life. That's like the definition of like living for you, not for a paycheck, not for, some sort of other person to profit off of, but yourself to profit off of in the best way possible. So I think that, like, that's kind of where I'd place it.
Totally agree. I think living life, meaning of life is so personal. It's about you. It's
Hmm.
how you face life, how you approach
Right,
life, how you live it.
right.
That's how I feel as well.
Exactly.
Next question. Ready?
Hmm.
Let's do it. Before the next question, I'm gonna go back to your childhood memories.
Okay.
Growing up, of course, when being a gay guy, growing up, being a gay guy, did you come out to your parents, like to your dads, or to your, to your nanny, or
Hmm.
tell me a little bit about your experience. And the other
Yeah.
question is, do you think your dads, they knew it before you came out or not?
So this is like, yes, this is a two-part question. And I think that I knew from a very young age, maybe 12, 13 years old, like I just knew. And I suppressed it because as a kid, you're with gay parents, you're bullied saying that like, oh, you're gonna innately be gay, you're gonna be this because your parents were. So like
Interesting.
I didn't want them to live with the shame of that stereotype holding true in this case, although it had nothing to do with it. But I suppressed it for a long time. And it wasn't until I moved, I lived in Germany for a little bit when I was 18 years old, and I was teaching vocational English and worked as an au pair as well. And when I moved there, I fell in love with this guy in Munich. And, you know, we had met on the typical dating app, well, the typical apps that you may use. And what ended up happening was I just went to like I got blackout drunk one night. Honestly, if I'm being honest, like I got blackout drunk one night. I messaged everybody on my Facebook that was a family member. I like if it's basically like I posted a status for 1,500 people to see or whatever. And then I called my parents, and the basis of the conversation was basically like, I met this guy on this app, like I'm in love with him, like I may move here, you know, just being just extra. And my parents were basically like, okay, more concerned, I think, about me being drunk than me being gay, obviously. But that's basically how that went. And then when it came to them knowing, I think they had their suspicions. I don't necessarily think, I think I was good at going in and out, if you will. So, like, I would do something where it was like, okay, well, my parents would think, oh, he said guy or he said this. And I'd be like, oh, well, no, I meant this, blah, 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 like backtrack. And then I'd be like, okay, I'm bisexual. You know, I came out as like bisexual instead. So it was like, they didn't really know where to like point it, I guess. Like they knew I wasn't straight, but they didn't think I was fully gay because I'd been with women. So when it was me saying like, oh, I'm gay, it wasn't like, oh, we knew this. It was just more so like, okay, like you already were bi, so it's you just think you like guys more. That's basically what they asked. So it was a mix, a mix.
Interesting. You know, so, I had so many people here on the show, Ethan, and coincidentally, I had a young man that he got two dads, and also he
Mhm.
went to Germany for the military career. I think he's there right now. I'm
That's
gonna,
insane.
yeah, I'm gonna find his interview. I'm gonna send the
That's
link.
great.
It's great. He talks about as well about the same journey as you. You know what I mean? I'm sure. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
send the link. You can watch a little bit.
Yeah,
It's
that'd be awesome. That'd be great.
okay. Next question is: tell us about your guilty pleasure.
My what? My guilty pleasure?
Yeah.
My guilty pleasure is flying or booking flights, canceling them to then book them again and fly. I do this every week pretty much. Like I will, my clients will want me to go somewhere, or I'll be like, okay, let me go take a trip away or whatever. Like this Sunday, I'm going to Miami, right? So like I book it and it'll be a couple of days prior, and I'm like, oh, maybe I don't need to go anymore, and I'll cancel it. And then like the day before, I'm like, okay, I need to go. So like I'll book it again and I'll get on it, and it'll be three times the amount. But I don't know. I've always loved aviation, obviously owning a business in the field. Like it's something in which there's an excitement. I always say half of the adventure is the journey, because for me, getting there is the adventure in itself, because I love to fly. So that's a guilty pleasure of mine, is definitely I think I don't splurge on too much, but when it comes to aviation and flying, I will always book first if I can or whatever. That's my one thing. Other than that, like I'll buy like a $3 shirt or whatever. Like I don't, you know, but when it comes to flying, I'm all game there. So that's definitely
Where's
um
going where's going to be your next destination flying?
so this Sunday I'm going to Miami to till Tuesday, and then I'm going to my trips lined up are Hawaii next month, then Switzerland in May, London in February, Maldives in February. I
Oh
have like
wow.
a very yeah. Then
Getting
Dubai
better,
coming up. Go ahead.
get better and better.
I know,
How
right? Yeah, it's like
Switzerland,
warmer, warmer, warmer.
until you get to London in February.
Right, exactly, right, exactly.
Amazing. Two questions left. Let's do it.
Okay.
Before the next question, tell me, what is the biggest joy of being a firefighter?
I think the biggest joy is the camaraderie that you have with the people in the firehouse. Like we go through so much, and people just this is a big conversation I have as well. Is people call 911, they see us, like we have to digest and ingest everybody's lives. Like we basically take on everything that you've gone through in the last 10 years in 45 minutes. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of like it bottles it really eats at you, I think, after a while, especially when you see negative things. And by nature we are all somewhat perfectionists because we want to make it better, right? Like our whole thing is fixing people, fixing cars, fixing buildings. Like that is what we do. So if something doesn't go our way, it can eat at us very heavily. But then when we're in the firehouse together, like that's a side of us nobody sees. And it's best friends, it's brothers, it's sisters, it's that dynamic that makes it so great because they are going through exactly what you are going through, and you're able to experience that together, and you're not alone through that. Because there are plenty of times where I've been on calls and I just break down, like after I can't contain myself, but then my best friend is breaking down with me, and we're breaking down together, and we're able to like get that emotion out. And we're firemen. I mean, we're supposed to be big, burly, and like, I guess have this energy about us that represents a heterosexual male. But in reality, we are very sensitive, we're perfectionists, and we like to cry. And that's what happens, is that there's nothing better than being able to release that emotion with somebody that is experiencing it, because it validates it. So I would say that that's my favorite thing, on top of the obvious, which is getting to help the general public and do something good.
The firefights from the US as well on the show, and I asked him why all the firefighter men they are good looking.
They are. They. I'm not gonna. They really are. They are. And then there's the old ones that need to retire soon. That they probably could use a little injection here or there. But that's
Funny. Next question is, what makes you really angry?
what makes me really angry. Oh, there's a lot to that. I think the biggest thing is people that just don't. They speak out of ignorance and out of emotion rather than fact, because it's something where you are spreading hate, or you're spreading this like narrative off of no factual evidence. I would understand if there was a reason to call somebody out for this or that. Like we go out of our way nowadays to blast people on the internet when we're not taking a look at our own selves and saying like, where can I improve, rather than like, let me try to tear this person down because I'm jealous of what they have. Or I get if somebody's being rude or whatever, but it's their platform to do that. Like there's no reason you need to go out of your way to anger yourself to then have rage bait or whatever it's called. Because I see that a lot, where people are intentionally looking for things that piss them off to then be pissed about it online and call
Yeah,
people out on it. And it's like, what's the point of that? There's nothing better that you can come up with. You need to use other people's content that pisses you off to be able to like generate your own. That, and then people that set false expectations. I think that if you are the type of person, and to default, we're somewhat of people pleasers as is, but you need to learn at some point like when enough is enough. And like if you're not going to do it, you're not going to do it, right? Don't tell me you're going to do it and then get mad at me after the fact because I hold you accountable for what you say. I think that's my biggest pet peeve, is when people act that way, because
mhm,
it's a form of gaslighting. I mean, you're gaslighting me into believing that you're going to do something, to then I hold you accountable, and I don't have a right to be mad because I was promised something that I didn't get delivered on. Like my face is getting red as we say that.
I was about to
Yeah,
say
yeah,
that.
I get very,
I can
very
see.
red, but yeah, very upset about that.
Do you
Yes.
want a glass of water?
Yeah. No, it's definitely a hot button for me.
It's funny how those situations when we are describing, we can feel the emotions as well. You can feel
Hmm.
it because it affects us. It's just
It does.
it does. It's just
It does.
sometimes.
And it does lead to more that you don't know about potentially.
uh,
Like people in my life have done that, and it completely, screwed me over. So even the smallest thing, it's a big deal to me. Just because you don't think it's a big deal doesn't mean it's not to me, which is where people stop, like they have to stop comparing themselves again to one another and trying to, downplay or make
and
sense of
respect.
their actions.
And respect as well. I think
Yeah.
respect, just
Hmm.
try to see that they are the other person, the other side, you know what I mean? So they
Right.
see it's
Right.
that's you just need to slow down a little bit and see that's a human being in front of you or
Right.
whatever.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
last question. Ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Before the last question, tell me, since you open your business, tell me a moment or a situation that you're never gonna forget. For some reason, there is always gonna have a special place in your heart.
Within my business.
Yes.
So it was about 3 or 4 months in, and I got a call from a stakeholder. Now, mind you, I haven't taken on any investments at this time. I still haven't, but I got a call from him, and he's big in the aviation world, and he was looking at potentially investing, and I just decided to move on. But he said to me, he was like, Ethan, people are recognizing who you are now in this industry. And if you're joking about this, like, which it seems like you're not, like, this is your time where you're either all in or you're all out, because now you're starting a wave of like this. And that was just like a really surreal moment, I think, is like hearing somebody that's somebody I look up to and I've looked up to in the industry that's a public figure telling me on the phone, like, this is becoming real, and this is like we're noticing this, and like this is, you know, real to him, was made it like even more real to me. I think every day when I have these phone calls with people that I would have never expected, like people that people know, right? Like people that people know, like here I am in my living room talking to some of the biggest names that I've like you could imagine. And it's such a weird but such a cool environment to be in. And I think that was like really the moment where I did decide to go all in and double down and like really go at it. And since then, I mean, it's exhausting at times, but it's definitely like I don't know what else I would be doing, honestly. I don't think I could ever go back to corporate America, like work like that.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. Last question is, what's the best first date have you ever been on?
The best first date I've ever been on.
Yeah.
Oh, that's tough. I think, like, honestly, I went on this one when I was like 18 or 17, 18, and we went to Six Flags in New Jersey. And I think it was just like because it brings like that kid out in you, but it was just like natural joy. Like you can't hide the fact that like I'm screaming on a roller coaster, right? Like at the top of my lungs. Here I am on this first date with this guy, and he's enjoying it just as much as I am. I think that was like the dynamic of that was really cool because we got to let loose and be ourselves, like without having to like force it. And
Uh-huh.
really, we didn't work out after the second date, but like, you know what I mean? It was just something
Yeah.
in which like we got to experience like what each other really was like in true form off the bat. So I think that was probably it. Otherwise, I've like flown places and done things, but it was just more so like we just wanted a vacation and we never met, and we were like, okay, well, we get along, so let's take a trip or whatever. And they've become some of my good friends in life. Actually, those people that I've hopped on a plane with and we've gone somewhere. They've
Wow.
become very close friends. So yeah.
Amazing. Okay, so Denzi, let's play now the word association game. Okay, I'm going to give away
Okay.
some words. Just tell one word that comes to your mind. Quick thinking. Let's start with family.
Love.
Money.
I was gonna say hate, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fear.
Hmm. I don't have one for that. I don't really know. Yeah, I don't.
Okay. Life.
Death.
Love.
Pain.
Okay. Yes, it can hurt like
Yeah,
badly.
yeah,
Religion.
definitely. Religion. Spaghetti monster.
Sex.
Intimacy.
Politics.
Ugh. Like, oh, literally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Friendship.
Brotherhood, sisterhood.
Desire.
Passion.
Regret.
Shame.
Success.
That's more than one word. I don't necessarily have
You,
that.
you can, you can tell.
I would say like by definition, like for me at least, is when you feel like you're able to give back just half as much as you get the people that gave to you everything that you have.
Amazing. Wish.
What was that? Wish?
Wish, yeah.
Hope.
Happiness.
Desire.
One word for New York City.
Crazy.
One word.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah. One word for Manhattan.
Dynamic.
One word for USA.
Ludicrous.
One word for firefighter.
Strength.
And the last one now, aviation, one word.
Wanderlust.
Let's pretend now I'm going to meet your dads for a coffee, and I'm going to ask both of them. Define Ethan in one positive word and one negative word only, what they would say.
Impulsive for negative. Then I'd say outgoing, probably, or intelligent and probably impulsive.
If I would ask the same question to your forever nanny, what she would say? Will it be the same answer or not?
She'd say a pain in the ass and very sweet. I think she'd say very kind, very sweet.
What's your star sign astrology, Ethan?
I'm a Pisces.
March?
February. So I'm on the cusp. I'm February 22nd.
I see.
Yeah.
Let's say now, Ethan, in the magic box, and you can ask me a question. Okay, you can ask me a question now.
So, given your background, where are you from? Like, what is your story in terms of life? You live in London, right? Or in the UK? How'd you get over there? Like, where were you born there? What's kind of your story?
Do you have another 2 hours?
Yeah, right, literally.
No, I'm joking. Right, I'm originally from Brazil, northwest Brazil. So I left Brazil when I was 19 years old. I moved all the way to Portugal on my own. So I lived in Portugal 4 years, almost 5 years. And I moved to London, to England. So I've been living in London almost most of my life. So I've been here since 2007. So I've been a lot. And I love London. You know, life takes you in a direction I was expecting. I never thought in my days one day live in London. And London is now. You know, it's great. As a teenager, back in Brazil, when I was growing up, I started studying English. And my dream as a teenager was, I want to live in a country where I can speak English every day. So literally live a dream, because I live where I can speak English every day.
That's amazing.
So all my family are back in Brazil. You know, I've got a sister, and you know, all my family there, my parents, they're all back in Brazil, and I'm the only adventurous one who.
Right, you're like the black sheep, like that ventured out. Yeah, that's like me and my
When I look back, my God, 19 years old, I go like, my God, how did I? You know what I mean? It's great. You know, I love the fact that sometimes you just need to follow life, let things happen, and believe in yourself.
You can't force it, right?
Absolutely. And life can take in a direction where you never expected, but you can find home there. And I can tell you, London is home for me now. So yeah, that's my story.
That's awesome. So I get the feeling that you understand that, because I'm very similar. Like I've done a lot in like that, not like from 19 to 26. Like there's so much and I look back at it now and I'm like, oh my gosh, like what was I doing? You know, what's going on? Like, how is it? Because everybody's saying that to me now, because it's something in which like they're realizing maybe they haven't done as much as they want to, or maybe they've, you know, kind of moved at whatever pace that is outlined for them. But for me, I've always just done whatever, not done whatever I want, but when I desire something, I go explore it, you know? So I think that like I was able to have all these opportunities because of that.
And it's interesting. That's why I asked you a star sign, because when you were describing your adventure, I was like, my God, I could see myself like in the same way as well. And it's so amazing to be this way, because you just go, you know, with life. Life directs you somehow.
Right.
You go for it.
And you find a home in anywhere you go, I think. I think that like you can find a home in anywhere you go.
You just adjust yourself where you are. So I think that's
right.
Yeah. Right. And it's not everyone can do that, and not wrong or right. It's just the way people are different, and it just adapt yourself.
I'm very independent in that sense, that like I got myself, and I, and like my dog. I love people and I love like, you know, being with them, but I've already been let down. So it's like I'm not expecting anything from them. So I just go do me.
Amazing. I love it. Ethan, did you enjoy the interview?
Yes, I did. It was very cool. I like what you're doing a lot. I think it's very neat.
Thanks so much. Thanks for taking the time.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
I know you're a busy man. And actually, this interview always going to be remembered because today is a very big day in the US. So amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you
That's
haven't voted, everybody has like 4 more hours to go do it. So, but yeah, I'm hoping it goes the way I want it to at least. But yeah, let's hope. We need it.
Before you go, Ethan, if you
Mhm.
can share a positive message or anything that you live by.
Absolutely. When you say to yourself that you can't do something, you should be doing it because you need to be able to prove to yourself that you can do things. And although people around you may say you can't, they just don't want you to see your true self and what you're capable of doing. So if you think you can't do something, go do it because then you will be proud of yourself and others will be proven wrong. And that's the best win in life. So go do it.
I love it. And just to watch it as well, when you're going to do something in your life and you feel scared, do it. Because the
Yeah.
right that if you don't feel these butterflies, it doesn't mean anything.
Right,
Literally.
exactly. You don't want to live like mundane, boring life because then you're gonna be complaining about it. So go do it. Take that risk. You never know if you won't try. I mean, it's worth it. It's worth it.
Yeah,
As within reason, as long as it's safe and
totally.
obviously you're being responsible. But sometimes be a little irresponsible. It doesn't hurt.
Yeah, you're going to learn a lesson. If it goes wrong, you're going to learn a lesson.
Right, exactly. And you learn more in that lesson probably than if it went right. So that way, when you go back to it, you'll know exactly what you're doing.
Thanks so much. Regards to
Thank you.
your parents and your nan. And you keep in touch.
Thank you so much. Yes, definitely keep in touch. Have a
Take
great
care.
night.
And you.
Bye.
So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website, www.williamandthemagicbox.com, and send us a request saying why would you like to be part of the show. And I see you there. Bye bye, see you next time.